My wife took my house, my money, and even my dog. A decade later, she called, crying, "I have nothing left." I just laughed and said, "Good. Now we're even." Hey Reddit. I never thought I'd be the guy writing this. I read these kinds of stories thinking, man, that sucks, and then I go about my day. But this is mine. It's not some over-the-top movie story. It happened, slowly and painfully, over years. If you've ever had someone pull the rug out from under you while smiling right in your face, then maybe this will feel familiar. I'm in my mid-40s now. When all of this started, I was 34. I had what I thought was a stable life. I was married to a woman I loved. I ran my own small real estate business in Maplewood, New Jersey, and I lived in a quiet home with a big oak tree in front and a backyard that needed mowing too often. My wife's name was Samantha. We met in college at Rutgers and dated all through our 20s. She was warm, smart, and always had something clever to say. She taught 6th grade English and used to read poetry at night while I prepped documents or scrolled through house listings. We had a golden retriever named Milo, who was probably the best part of my day, every day. I used to joke that I loved that dog more than most people. Maybe I wasn't joking. We bought a home together after 5 years of marriage. It wasn't a mansion, but it was ours. We picked the tile in the kitchen together. We planted hydrangeas by the back fence. We had a Sunday morning pancake tradition and late night walks with Milo when the streetlights buzzed and everything felt still. Then it all changed. Samantha started acting different. Little things at first. She stopped making dinner with me. Started going to the gym more. She'd text constantly, but the second I walked into the room, her phone would flip over or go silent. She started saying she wanted space. She said I didn't understand her anymore, that I wasn't adventurous, that she felt like just a wife, not herself. I asked her if there was someone else. She said no. I believed her. A month later, she asked if we could try living apart. She said it would give us clarity. I thought if I gave her what she wanted, she'd come back, that it was just a phase or stress from work. So I moved out. I rented a 1-bedroom not far from our house, thinking it was temporary. I left Milo with her, since I assumed I'd be coming back. It was quiet in that apartment. Too quiet. 2 months in, I stopped by to pick up some books. Her car wasn't there, but someone else's boots were by the door. Not mine. There was a leather jacket slung on the chair. 2 glasses of wine in the sink. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to believe it. When I confronted her later, she finally admitted it. She met someone. His name was Mark, and he was the new gym teacher at her school. She said it just happened. That she wasn't planning it. That it felt right. I remember standing there in that cold apartment, feeling like someone had reached inside me and just shut the lights off. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just nodded and left. That was the end of us. Or at least, I thought it was. The legal part was next. Divorce. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Being the nice guy in court gets you nowhere when the other side plays dirty. Samantha hired a lawyer who made her sound like the victim of some invisible, emotionless man. She said I was distant, that I controlled the money, that I dismissed her needs. All while I sat there in a wrinkled dress shirt wondering if any of this still counted as real life. She went after the house. Said her parents helped with the down payment. They gave us $5,000 as a wedding gift. She wanted spousal support. She said she gave up better job opportunities to support me while I grew my business. She wanted Milo, too. She said she was his primary caretaker. That one hit me the hardest. The court leaned in her direction. She had the emotional appeal. I had assets and potential future earnings. In the end, she got the house. I paid her monthly for 3 years. And I lost Milo. I wasn't allowed to take him with me, since she was staying in the marital home, and it would disrupt the dog's routine. Never mind that she forgot to feed him sometimes or left him alone all day. Never mind that he used to curl up beside me every night. He was gone. I remember sitting in my car outside the courthouse, not moving for hours. I didn't even cry. I just sat there, numb. That was 10 years ago. I moved to Philadelphia after the dust settled. Needed a new start. Got a cheap place near the river and started rebuilding. I threw myself into work. I stopped talking to mutual friends. I avoided Facebook because every time I saw her name, I felt like I couldn't breathe. At one point, I started drinking too much. That lasted about a year. I woke up one day and realized I didn't even recognize the guy in the mirror. I looked like someone who'd been robbed and hadn't bothered to clean up the mess. So I started therapy. I met Helen, who wasn't just a good therapist, she probably saved me. She helped me pull everything apart and see the pieces. Helped me stop blaming myself for everything. Helped me see that love doesn't mean you lose yourself. Bit by bit, I started to feel like a person again. I rebuilt my business under a new name. Found new clients. Made enough to buy a small place just outside the city. Nothing big, but it was mine. I started volunteering at a dog rescue once a week. I couldn't bring myself to get another dog, not yet. But I liked being around them. Time passed. I didn't date much. I didn't really want to. Trust doesn't come easy after that kind of betrayal. You start to doubt your own instincts. You question everything. Even silence feels suspicious. Then, a few months ago, after a full decade of no contact, I got a phone call. Unknown number. I almost let it ring out, but something told me to answer. Hi. It's me, she said. It took me a second to recognize the voice. Samantha. Her voice sounded small, fragile, not at all like the woman who once walked out of court with a satisfied smile and my dog's leash in hand. She told me everything. Mark had left her. Apparently, he'd started seeing someone younger. Someone from the gym. She had lost her job during budget cuts and hadn't been able to find stable work since. She had sold the house 2 years ago to stay afloat. She was living with a cousin now. And Milo? He passed away from cancer. That one hit me like a punch in the chest. I have nothing left, she said. I know I have no right to ask, but I didn't know who else to call. I stayed quiet for a while. Then I laughed. Not a bitter laugh. Just a short, tired one. And I said, good. Now we're even. She didn't respond right away. Just silence. Then soft crying. She hung up not long after. I sat there staring at the phone. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel pity either. I felt nothing. Just quiet. Like the kind of quiet after a long storm when the world feels reset but not repaired. She didn't call again. At least, not right away. I thought that was it. Just a desperate, emotional moment. A voice from the past echoing into the present and vanishing again. And I was fine with that. But 2 weeks later, I got a message from an unknown number. It said, can we meet? Just once. Please. I didn't respond. But I didn't delete it either. A few days after that, she showed up. I came home from a client meeting, and there she was, Samantha, sitting on the steps outside my building. Same face, but different. Older. Tired. Worn in the way people get when life keeps hitting, and they stop dodging. She stood up when she saw me, like she didn't know if I'd yell or walk past her. I didn't know where else to go, she said. You don't have to talk to me. I wanted to say sorry. Properly. Face to face. I didn't say anything. Just unlocked the door and walked inside. She didn't follow. But she didn't leave either. When I looked out my window 20 minutes later, she was still sitting there. I don't know why I went back down. I told myself it was just to get her off my steps. Maybe part of me needed to hear her out. Or maybe I just wanted to see if she'd actually say the things she never did when it mattered. We walked to a nearby bench by the river. She told me everything. More than I expected. She said after the divorce, things were good for a while. She and Mark traveled. Bought a second dog. He made her feel young again. She said that exact phrase, young again. But after a few years, it changed. He got distant. Moody. She caught him messaging women on Instagram. He said it was harmless. That she was paranoid. Then, a year ago, he moved out while she was at work. Left a note on the table. Took the TV and the new dog. Said he needed to figure himself out. She couldn't afford the house payments alone. Her job had been cut during the pandemic and never came back. She borrowed from friends. Stayed with family. Drifted. And she didn't tell me all this like she was making excuses. Her voice didn't have the pride it used to. It had cracks in it. Honest ones. I didn't come here hoping we'd get back together, she said. I know I burned that bridge. I just needed you to hear me say. I was wrong. You didn't deserve what I did. I lied. I twisted things in court. I was scared, and I was selfish. She looked down at her hands. I've never really been okay since Milo died. I know you loved him more than anyone. He used to sleep by the door every night after you left. That one hit hard. I didn't cry, but I felt something heavy move in my chest. I nodded. Just once. Then I stood up and said, you should go. She nodded too. Didn't fight it. That could have been the end. Should have been. But it wasn't. A few days later, I got an email. From Mark. Subject. You should know the truth. It was short. 2 sentences. You think she's sorry now? She's only sorry because I stopped paying for everything. Ask her about the loan in your name. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I checked my credit. There it was. A loan for $24,000. Taken out 9 years ago, during the divorce. It had my name, my social, a different address, her old apartment, but everything else matched. I never knew. It had slipped through. Maybe I missed a piece of mail. Maybe she forged it. Maybe I trusted too many things I shouldn't have. The loan had been paid off. That's why it never triggered anything serious. But the paper trail was there. I printed it all out. I sat with it for a night. No TV. No music. Just me, a lamp, and the truth. I called her the next morning. She picked up right away. Sounded surprised. Almost hopeful. I didn't waste time. You took out a loan in my name? There was silence. Then she said, you don't understand, don't. Just don't. I paid it back, she said quickly. I never missed a payment. Things were tight. I thought I could fix it before it mattered. And I did, didn't I? You didn't even notice. I notice now. I could hear her breathing, trying to figure out what to say that would make this better. But there wasn't anything. That's fraud, I said. You know that. I know, she whispered. Please don't go to the police. I'll do anything. I'll sign something. I'll write a statement. I'll apologize in public if you want. Just, please don't ruin what little I have left. I hung up. That evening, I got another email. This one from her cousin Janelle. We'd never been close, but we knew each other through birthdays and holidays back then. She wrote, I had no idea what she did to you until now. I'm so sorry. She told me last night that you found out about the loan. Please don't press charges. She's not well. She hasn't been for a while. She has no one left. I didn't respond, but I couldn't sleep either. I called a lawyer the next day, just to ask. They told me yes, I could pursue it. Even though the loan had been repaid, the act of using my identity without permission was illegal. I had options. But then the lawyer asked something I didn't expect. Do you want justice or closure? I didn't answer him, because I didn't know yet. I still don't. I sat on that bench by the river again today. The same one where she sat and said sorry. I watched the water move. I thought about Milo. About the years I spent rebuilding everything. About how sometimes the past doesn't stay where you put it. And I know this story isn't over. Not yet. A week passed. I didn't press charges. Not because I forgave her. Not because I was soft. But because I wanted her to know something scarier than a courtroom. I was watching now. No more shadows. No more free passes. I was done being silent. But Samantha wasn't done yet. One evening, I was walking out of a small dinner party my friend Marcus had hosted at his place in Cherry Hill. It was just a few guys from the real estate circle. Casual. Good food, a few drinks. I stepped out to head home and saw her. Samantha, standing at the edge of the driveway in the dark, arms crossed, staring like she'd been there a while. How did you even know I was here? I asked. I saw your name on Marcus's event post, she said. I know I shouldn't have come. Then why are you here? Because I need to say something. And you won't answer your phone. Marcus came out behind me, saw her, and paused. He gave me a nod. That you good? Look. I nodded back. He went back in without a word. She took a step closer. I want to tell you everything. About the loan. About what I did. You deserve the truth, all of it. I should have left. I should have walked right to my car and driven home. Instead, I said, say it. She took a shaky breath. I took out the loan because I couldn't afford rent after the separation. Mark said he'd help, but changed his mind. I knew I could get approved using your name. I planned to pay it back fast. But then, I didn't. Not at first. She looked down. I also used your name to lease a car. It got repoed when I couldn't make payments. I had no choice. You had a choice, I said sharply. You just didn't pick the honest one. She flinched. I know. I hate myself for it. I kept telling myself I'd make it right. You had 10 years. I know. Her voice cracked. But that's not all. She pulled out her phone and handed it to me. An email thread was open. My name was on it. An attempt to open a credit card 5 years ago using my information. Denied. You tried again? I said, louder now. 5 years after everything? After I started over. I was desperate. I was sick. I had no job. Mark had left again. I was drowning. So you reached into my life and tried to take more. She didn't speak. And then, the door opened again. Marcus came out. He saw us standing there and said, is everything okay? Before I could answer, Samantha turned to him and said, I ruined his life. And he doesn't deserve it. But I'm trying to fix it now. Marcus raised a brow, unsure how to respond. Do you need help? I looked at her, eyes burning. I don't want your fix. I want distance. I want peace. You should have thought about fixing things before you made me into your safety net. She stepped back, voice trembling. Please. I've lost everyone. I don't want to lose you too, not completely. You already did, I said. And for the first time, she cried. Not a few polite tears, she broke down. Right there on Marcus's driveway. Sobbing. The kind of crying that makes your whole body shake. Marcus looked at me. You want me to call someone? No, I said. She's not my problem anymore. I walked away. I didn't look back. I drove home in silence. The streetlights blurred by. When I got home, I sat in the driveway with the car running, staring at the steering wheel. It was done. Later that week, I got a letter in the mail. It was from her. A handwritten apology. No excuses, just everything she did, listed out. She said she was going to check into a mental health center in Trenton. She left her cousin Janelle's number in case I wanted updates. I didn't call, but I didn't throw the letter away either. A month later, Janelle called. She said Samantha was doing better, that she was facing her mistakes, that she wanted to pay back every dollar, even if it took her years. I told her, she doesn't owe me money. She owes me a decade. Janelle sighed. She knows. A few of our old friends heard about what happened. Some reached out. Some didn't. One of them, David, told me, man, she fooled all of us. I believed every word she said back then. I'm sorry. It didn't help. But I appreciated it. The strange thing is, I don't feel hate anymore. Just sadness. Like when a good house burns down and you know you can rebuild, but it'll never be the same. I thought for a long time about pressing charges. I still could, but I won't. Not because she deserves mercy, but because I deserve freedom. I've rebuilt everything once. And now, I can do it without ghosts. She took my house, my money, and even my dog. But in the end, she lost herself. And I finally found peace.